So, and I'm probably gonna dive in a little bit deeper with you now. In terms of like, I know they cover insurance covers property damage. What does insurance cover? Well, I mean, in this kind of in a PI case, what kind of compensation is like what's considered as part of the settlement, I guess, amount, so to speak.
Yeah, so there's two claims essentially in every car accident case, right? Any accident involving property damage, there's the property damage aspect of the claim, repairs to the vehicle or fair settlement value of the vehicle if it's considered a total loss. And then there's a bodily injury portion. What you get paid for pain, suffering, medical bills, lost wages. So those are two separate claims, and I like to explain that off the bat. So like we're obviously going to represent you for the bodily injury portion, make sure that you get maximum settlement value for your case. And then we also handle the property damage claim as a courtesy to our bodily injury clients. We don't charge, it's not a service that we charge for. We just do it since we're already handling the bodily injury portion of the case. And they do go hand in hand, right? Because the property damage aspect of the case goes to show causation for the bodily injury portion. So if your car is totaled, that just goes to show is a really strong impact, and the mechanism for injury is there, right? And there's like likelihood that you're going to be injured in a really serious car accident. So we like to work with you to get that information. We use that as evidence for the bodily injury portion of your case.
Now, so when you get another, let's talk about the fact that when you get someone else saying, "Hey, my attorney's taking a long, long time," so and then you take on those clients. Let me rephrase the question a little bit better. What's the reason you would take over another case if you talk to someone and they tell you, "Well, I've been waiting for a year and a half and nothing's happened yet, and I've been going to treatment, or I'm not going to treatment, I'm just sitting here." Is that normal?
Yeah. So, I mean, we really do vet. Like I mentioned earlier, you can always change your personal injury lawyer. We vet through the case to see what has been done and what needs to be done. A lot of the times, the things that need to be done haven't been done. We assess their injuries. Are you still in pain? Do you still feel neck pain? Low back pain? Are you still experiencing headaches? We assess how the client is doing, and then kind of redirect the course of treatment and make sure that they're getting what they need to be able to get their case settled. Sometimes though, I mean, insurance companies can be unreasonable and are either, lowballing the case, stating there's no mechanism for injury. We have to see where the problem is coming from so that we can resolve it and explain to the client what the holdup is. Because sometimes people, I understand it could be a frustrating process, like you're a year and a half in and you might think no, nothing's being done, but it could also be that the insurance company is being unreasonable, and they think there's a problem with the case. So we need to figure out what that problem is to work with them and resolve your case as quickly as possible.
Right. So recently I sent a case to Dr. Choi, who is a chiropractor, and it turns out like the reason the client she was a client for another matter for me for a family law matter, and turns out that she got in a car accident, but she wasn't going. And I go, why don't you get an attorney? She's like, well, I can't afford the medical fees. I can't go to the doctor. So how does that portion work? So I had to explain to her, and maybe you can explain like how does that portion work for people that
Yeah,
don't
so
have insurance?
I mean, there's two ways about it, right? You can go through your health insurance, and have your health insurance, bill the car insurance and work that way. Or, what allows clients to get the proper treatment they need is to work on a lien basis with doctors. So they might not have the means to pay up front, but we could pay the doctors through the settlement so that they get the appropriate treatment that they need. A lot of people, unfortunately, don't have health insurance, but they're extremely injured and they need help. So, having the client receive treatment on a lien basis is extremely helpful because, yeah, they are able to recover without having to break the bank. Because I believe medical debt is one of the biggest reasons for bankruptcy in the United States. So I understand people's frustration and fear of receiving treatment, but treating on a lien basis kind of or avoids that, having to pay anything out of pocket.
Well, yeah, that's why I was surprised. I like, oh man, I didn't know people were so, that she was so worried. I'm like, it's all taken care of. And she's like, no, I don't have any medical insurance. And her child had gotten injured too. So it's good to know that you talked about that lien. So and then doctors. So assuming there's no recovery, I'm assuming that what happens with the liens, or is that just I'm
It's
assuming not.
Yeah, it's on a case by case basis, right? I think it's important that you speak to a lawyer, a personal injury lawyer that is very upfront about the process and explains the process well. If for whatever reason you are found to be at fault for the collision, you could be on the hook for those bills. But that's why it's important that, you speak to a lawyer to see what the chances of, recovery are for you in your case. There's some pretty straightforward cases where liability is very clearly established. It's just a matter of figuring out how injured you are to get paid. And then there's other cases where liability is like a little more in the gray area. It's like, who's at fault here? So talking to a lawyer and figuring out early on, liability and liability strategy is really, really important.